Hello, lovely people of the internet, and Ahsoka as she tries to take Leah's mic down.
She's knocked it over twice.
Yes, and I keep watching her at a distance, and because I have probably some undiagnosed form of ADHD, I keep watching. But anyway, you're not here to hear my commentary on cats. You're here for another awesome interview, and I really love this artist. They're called the Paradox Twin, and like I do, it's a prog band. You know I'm about it.
An immediate Beth Ann pick.
An immediate, as Leah said when we were talking in advance, she took one listen. It's like, this is a Beth Ann band. So I'm very happy to interview one of my prog faves. But anyway, this is Nicole Johnson from the Paradox Twin. Shout out to her logging in from London.
All the way from
Reading.
London.
Yeah, right outside London. It's 11 o'clock at night for her, so I hope she's getting some rest, but we were glad to have her. Other than that, I'm Beth Ann.
And I'm Leah. And that's Ahsoka.
And this is She Will Rock You.
Where are they getting a dub in a CBS executive meeting?
No. Bitch, don't touch my thermostat.
The ghost be like, hold up, before I haunt you, let me turn down the thermostat. Who is this band?
We're on page 1, guys. This is She Will Rock You.
So we're here with Nicole Johnson from the Paradox Twin. How are you doing today?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. I love when I can get a prog artist on this podcast because that's my stopping grounds, as they say in the South. So I'm really excited to talk with you guys. I love your music. So this is going to be a really fun interview for me.
We got the demo video and I watched it and I said, Beth Ann, here you go.
Exactly. She knew. We that's what works with our podcast. She is one sector of the world. I have the other sector of the world for rock. And so it gives us good coverage. But the first thing I want to know is tell me how you all got started.
So I'm a fairly newcomer to the group. So Danny and Lee started the band a few years ago, and they recorded their first album, The Importance of Mr. Bedlam. And which used a vocalist, Kim Sevier, who is also a vocalist on White Star Records.
Okay.
And that was a absolutely gorgeous album. I joined to tour the album. So I joined in the summer of 2019, along with drummer Graham Brown. So we joined the band at the same time. The band also at that point in time, also in the recording of on the Importance of Mr. Bedlam, had bass player Diane Fox. So when we joined and we toured the album, we were a fairly new lineup, and we're just kind of getting to know one another, and sort of local to Reading. So I live in Central Reading. Diane lives in Central Reading. So anyway, in 2019, we had a new lineup and we toured The Importance of Mr. Bedlam. And we were just kind of deciding, on stage what our chemistry was, and how we're going to kind of just work together as a band. And it felt really good. Like the early days felt really natural. The chemistry worked very well. I already knew Diane previously. Mm-hmm. Graham was just an amazing drummer. Just really excited to be on board. And then I thought, okay, great guys. It looks like we have a band. And then the pandemic hit. And yeah, and Danny had written all this gorgeous music for the next album, and there's this kind of frustration of kind of having a pause point that was unnatural. Just when we had this momentum that had kicked us, got us started. In fact, Danny and I were talking about it the other night. We're saying, well, the album that we've got now, Silence from Signals, sounds the way it does. In fact, because of the pandemic, because we had to work through this frustration and isolation. And then by the time it came to putting in the vocals, I was dropped in at the 11th hour because, again, we couldn't be together until like the parts of the lockdown had lifted. And it was what you hear is just kind of like this intensity. It's intense, right? Mm-hmm. You hear this intensity because there's a sense of urgency. We didn't have time, there wasn't time. We just kind of had to do what we could when we could. Sure. And so you feel all those emotions, the frustration and the sense of urgency.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely feel it. I love, you know what? I got to pull up the name because it's that first track, Wake Vortex, because it has those moments where it's quiet and then it just builds into this really awesome chorus. So I can definitely see that coming across. One question I have, so the paradox twin, I have to ask, Einstein theory? Is that where it comes from?
So I don't know, like, I mean, you have to ask Danny, like, why it's called the paradox twin, but the album itself, Silence from Signals, is actually about a set of twins. One is autistic or neuroatypical, and the other one is neurotypical. And the story of these two twins, it's the story of their relationship and how they make sense of the world. So their relationships as they make sense of the world. And so you hear this story that plays out between the two twins. The twin brother who doesn't feel like he belongs. He was rejected by his father. Mm-hmm. And the twin sister who's trying to kind of orient him, in a sense of belonging, but ultimately fails. So that's what you're hearing, the paradox one. But yeah, going back to the importance of Mr. Bedlam, the importance of Mr. Bedlam was all about aliens and the invasion of aliens on planet Earth and the dilation of time. And Danny and I are both big fans of the film Interstellar, which I don't know if you've seen that film.
I have.
Yeah, so the ability to fold time and to communicate over time folds and sort of space-time travel and so that was concept of the last album. But yeah, the paradox twin is so you kind of you're hearing both. You're hearing the first album was more about space and space-time and the alien invasion, and the current album is about the twins and the twin the twin dynamic of two siblings navigating the world and fitting in, not fitting in.
Love it. I love a good concept album.
Me too.
So is it like kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Coheed and Cambria, how they just have like this ongoing story? Is it something to that knowledge where there's a tie between the two, or are they just two separate stories?
No, they're two separate stories.
Gotcha.
So Danny, so he says, the way he writes is just, he gets the story and then the music kind of unfolds from there. We will be seeing a bit more of the story from the twins, but then there'll be another story, in an upcoming music. Yeah.
I love it. That's really cool. So tell me, I know we were talking a little bit about your writing process. I believe you said Danny does a good amount of the writing.
No, he's definitely the composer behind,
awesome.
The Paradox Twin.
And do you guys because what I love about prog music is I feel like the writing process is very much different than other genres, and that there's a lot more, and this is not a slight on other genres, but just something I've noticed from talking to other prog artists, they put a lot of emphasis on weaving complexities in music, if you will. So do you know what's kind of that writing process? If you know a little bit what Danny does, what you guys do, how it all comes together.
Well, particularly because this was done during the lockdown, and we kind of managed through WhatsApp chat. And so there's this constant movement of enormous sound files that would just move through the WhatsApp chat, so Danny would say, oh guys, this is what I've got. And then it would move over to Graham, who would, who's the drummer, and he'd take away something and then he'd work out, it's kind of a drumscape of what he was going to do. And then we kind of hear what Lee had mixed in. It's a constant movement of these huge sound files that would be moved through different members of the band.
Nice.
So that process went on for a few months. And then, but as far as the vocals are concerned, I again, because of, singing and particles, not something that, was encouraged during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So what Danny did at the end, he did say that he would have liked to have had me a bit more collaborative, in this case. But, when it came time to put the last bit of vocals on, I got a day. And he did the guide vocals. And in fact, Wake Vortex was the first song we recorded. And I walked into the studio and he said, okay, here's what I want you to do. And I gave it a listen. And I said, okay, right. So you want me to sing? I said, yeah. I said, which octave? He said, okay. So I had the piano next to me and I hit up the octave. He said, yeah, that octave. I said, okay. And do you want that in head voice or do you want that in full voice? He said, no, full voice. And I said, okay, so I'm going to need a cup of tea.
You are going to need a cup of tea with some lemon in it. Get the voice ready for that one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was over the space of several months, just the movement of these, these sound files, and the mixing. So it was a labor of love, and it happened very differently, I think, to, what you would see in songwriting convention, where it's just, kind of escaping from the mind of one person, fully formed eventually. It was definitely a digital movement, I guess, which is what you hear.
I love that though, because even with the pandemic happening, you still can like make group projects, so to speak, of this music. And it, in my view, it's successful at that, like still making powerful music despite having not being in the same room.
That was for all of us, between the five of us, we do have a high level of interest in tech and music tech. So, it was the adaptability. We, we all have an interest. So as well during the pandemic, I think when we kind of had the first partial lifting of restrictions, we went ahead and did a live stream concert in Diane's back garden. Mm-hmm. So again, just, and I have to say, Graham Brown, who's our drummer, did take the reins with the kind of managing the kind of tech direction on that. And it took an entire day to set up the live stream so that we could deliver a concert to our audience. This is before we recorded Silence from Signals. So we did a live concert of The Importance of Mr. Bedlam, just again to give the audience something to kind of say, hey, we're still here. We haven't gone away. But yeah, I think that because we were adaptable, all things considered, we weren't going to sort of like fade into the background and lose our momentum, because we had these additional skills and tools to work with.
Yeah.
So, that's one of my bandmates saying that we've got to interview. But yeah. Yeah. So I think that musicians and bands that were adaptable to music tech and digital tech were definitely the ones who survived the pandemic and the lockdown.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to learn to adapt on the fly. And that's what we did with our podcast. You definitely just, if you wanted it to keep going, you had to figure out another way of doing it.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with that. As far as for your album, Silence from Signals, I know we talked a little bit about pandemic and the writing process of it. We talked about the concept. Did you guys have any other goals you were looking to achieve for this album?
I think that, in fact, I don't think I know. Danny really just wants the band to grow from strength to strength and really perform at bigger venues and larger audiences. And I say absolutely yes. I can't wait. One of the things that emerged from we didn't tour the album per se. We did do like a mini tour the sort of late summer, just Southeast England. And what was really nice, because we'd had that time apart to solidify our kind of performance personas as a band. So everybody kind of slotting into what they deliver to the audience when they come to a live performance. And and that kind of took us from just being a recording artist to being a performance artist.
Yeah.
Because again, we didn't get a chance to do that when we were separated, but we really were so keen. And that was challenging because when you're normally touring, you kind of build up that stamina, to go from show to show, venue to venue. And, pre-pandemic, you do weeks of shows and not think anything of it. And this is just over a week. And by show 4 or 3 or 4, we're like,
It takes a lot out of you. I don't know how people do it.
I can imagine, it takes a lot out of you, but then you're just so used to just, at home.
Go to bed at 8 p.m.
Go to bed at 8 p.m., play Animal Crossing when you're at work. But
you never did that.
Never. I'm talking about other people. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I can definitely see, getting back into the swing of things. I think just in general, people weren't mentally prepared for what that actually looked like.
No. I just remember going into one night, we had a show. In fact, we played London, and I remember thinking, just after the show finished, and we were touring with, and this is awful because we were touring with another band. Oh, they're gonna kill me.
It's okay. It's late. You get
an excuse. It's 11. You get all the excuses in the world.
Yeah, so they were on for their set, and I just thought, I'm just gonna go back into the green room and just sit down for a minute. And an hour and a half later, my bandmates came in. I was snoring on the couch.
No,
but that's actually me.
Yeah. So I know you guys are, getting back into the swing of things, but we are getting close to 2022. You guys still get, I know, somehow in the blink of an eye. But are you guys planning more shows? What's kind of on the docket?
Yeah,
to the US, because we'd like to see you guys.
Yeah, so we have been asked to play Ross Fest in, I think it's 2023, because I think the lineup is already full up. But we are playing Reading on the 4th of February. I mean, because we're mainly local to Reading, but we never play here, and so we really it's our first show that's going to play the album live in its entirety.
Oh,
and
that's exciting!
Yeah, it is exciting because we get to play for our friends. I mean, we've got a wonderful musical community here, and it's been nice to just play at home. And I say like at home turf. So that's really, we're really excited about that. And then we do, there's a gig. In fact, it's booked for, again, late summer. We're playing Holland again. Nice. Yeah, we played Holland's 2019 when we just, in fact, I think it was the first or second gig out of our new lineup.
Nice.
Yeah. So we were asked back. So we'll be doing that late summer next year.
That's so exciting. Well, like I said, I hope eventually you get over to the US because I'd love to see you guys. I think that'd be a killer show. But if I can't, I guess I'm just going to have to convince my husband to let me go back to London and the UK.
No, yeah, I mean, both scenarios are wonderful. But yeah, I mean, the US is something that, I mean, as you can tell, I'm from the US as well. So it'd be great to go back, kind of as a conquering hero.
Sure.
Back to home turf. But yeah, I mean, just save your pennies for a trip back over to the UK.
Hey, in a heartbeat, I've said many times, in a heartbeat, I'd go live in the UK if I could.
It's lovely.
But it is. I love it. I love the people. I love the croissants that come from France. But
I'll move back to my homeland. It'll be great.
Yeah, you can move back to your homeland.
You're from here?
My grandparents my great grandparents moved here from Essex.
Okay. So yeah, you're local. Just come back home.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Leah has some very fun lightning round questions. But before we get to that, just let the people know where they can find the Paradox Twin.
Okay, so the Paradox Twin, you can order our CD, but you can find us. We've got our website, www.theparadoxtwin.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So you can see our live stream show that we recorded during the pandemic also on YouTube. Also, our video of Wake Vortex, you can find that on YouTube. Plus, we also released a lyric video for Sea of Tranquility. So, you can find that on YouTube. You can stream us from Spotify. And order our CD from our website. And also, you can get tickets for our upcoming shows from the website.
Awesome.
And we will link all that in the show notes. So tap that link. All right, lightning round questions. First up, cats or dogs?
Cats.
Yes, team cat. There's one tearing up my chair as we speak.
Yes.
I don't know why she loves this chair, but she does. It is currently the holiday season. What is your favorite holiday tradition that you do?
I love a cappella harmony singing of Christmas carols.
Ooh, good choice.
Yeah.
An underrated tradition. What is the best book you've ever read?
The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway.
A good one. What is your dream car?
one, I don't have to drive.
I feel that. I hate driving.
Yeah, I was like, I'm trying to think of something. I'm like, I don't want to drive.
Road trip driving is one thing, but like driving across this like town to get groceries.
I know.
No, thank you.
No, well, see, I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm done. I did the competitive driving, the traffic, and I moved here. I was like, you've got functioning public transport. I'm done.
Hey,
That's
the
all I want in
underground,
life.
the underground at London, very efficient. I'm just saying it was better than the subway in New York.
Yeah. So
or the metro
like,
in DC.
Or the metro. Well, DC metro is pretty good, but like the underground, like it was so easy to get around London.
Yeah. So no. So forever. I'm now a public transport user. I'm not getting behind the wheel again.
I feel that. The last question is our signature question that we ask everyone who comes on the show. If you were a cereal, what would you be and why?
Muesli.
Walk me through that. I'm not. Is that a
Muesli.
UK cereal? Or is it?
No, it's just nuts, fruits, and flakes, honey.
Oh, so like Honey Bunches of Oats?
Yeah, that sort of thing. I'm nutty and I'm fruity and some, I'm not so much flaky now as I used to be. I've outgrown that, but yeah.
But it was there at one point. Yeah. And you got to preserve that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to flake out of plans that you never wanted to go to. And self-care. I understand that. That's right.
Yeah, self-care.
That's absolutely right. Well, this has been such an awesome talk. I have just enjoyed getting to know you, getting to know the band a little bit more. Go check out the Paradox Twin. They have such great music. But thank you so much for being on the show, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed the show. Special thanks to Death of Fawn for our intro riff. You can visit our website at shioraku.com. There you can find links to our socials, the show notes, and you can reach out to us and contact us. And remember, don't do drugs.